Alice in Borderlands Season 3 is right around the corner, so it's about time to recap previous 2 seasons. This is the entire story of Alice in Borderland, starting with Season 1. It all begins with a young man named Arisu, a brilliant but aimless gamer who feels completely alienated from the world. His family sees him as nothing more than a parasite, and after a fight with his brother, he finds himself on the streets, leaving his old life behind. He meets up with his 2 best friends, Karub, a bartender who is just fired for getting a little too close to his boss's girlfriend, and Chota, a devout but deeply unhappy office worker who decided to skip out on his job. The trio, feeling like outcasts in their own lives, mess around in the crowded Shibuya crossing, causing a minor accident and drawing the attention of the police. They duck into a subway restroom to hide, but when the lights flicker and die, they emerge into a world that is shockingly, unnervingly empty. There are no people, no cars, no signs of life, and their phones have no signal. For a moment, it feels like a dream come true. No more jobs, no more expectations, no more disappointment. But this strange paradise quickly reveals its true nature. A massive electronic billboard flickers to life, announcing that a game is about to begin and directing them to a nearby building. Inside, they are not alone. They encounter a frantic woman and another, more experienced player named Shibuki, who informs them that once you're in an arena, there's no choice but to play. They are each given a phone, which reveals the first challenge, a game called Dead or Alive, with a difficulty of the 3 of clubs. The rules are deceptively simple. They are in a room with 2 doors, one marked live and the other die. They must choose the correct door within a time limit to proceed to the next room. Choose wrong, and the consequences are instant. The first panicked player bolts through a door and is immediately killed by a laser to the head, establishing the deadly stakes. The group is paralyzed by fear, but our boy Arisu starts to notice the details. He uses his sharp observational skills, recalling the layout of the building from the outside, to deduce the correct path. His intellect guides them through the deadly maze, and they successfully clear the game. Outside, they find a physical 3 of clubs card on a table, their first piece of a much larger puzzle. Their phones then update, granting them a 3-day visa, a temporary protection from death. The reality of their situation sinks in when a man nearby, whose visa has just expired, declares he's done playing. A red laser shoots down from the sky and executes him on the spot. Shibuki grimly confirms their new reality. To live, they have to keep playing, with no other choice. As this new world order settles in, we see another player, a lone girl named Usagi, standing on a rooftop, watching the sky ominously filled with these deadly lasers. The horse-headed hunter. The next chapter of their ordeal introduces us to the backstory of that girl on the rooftop, Usagi, an exceptionally skilled rock climber whose peace has always been found in nature alongside her father. We'll come to know her as the hiker girl. Back with the Game Boys group, Chota has discovered that while modern electronics are useless, old-fashioned radios can pick up some frequencies, a small but significant detail in their isolated world. As the 4 survivors share a meal, they begin to piece together the rules of this new reality. Shibuki reveals she's already played another game before meeting them, admitting she used other players as bait to ensure her own survival, a dark tactic that highlights the brutal every person for themselves nature of the games. Arisu notes the strange time discrepancy, how they just arrived while Shibuki has been here for days, leading to speculation about a game master orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. Chota's leg was badly burned in the first game, leaving him in immense pain and unable to compete. With his visa and Karub's running short, Arisu decides they must enter another game to earn more time and hopefully find medical supplies. This leads them to their second trial, a 5 of spades game titled Tag. Spades games are known to test physical abilities, and this one is no different. They find themselves in a huge apartment complex with a group of other players, including the mountain lady, Usagi. The objective is twofold: avoid being tagged by the designated IT, and find a hidden safe zone within the building before the 20-minute timer runs out. The game begins, and the IT is revealed to be a terrifying figure, a man in a horse mask armed with an Uzi machine gun, who begins systematically hunting down and killing the players. While the deadly game of tag unfolds, Shibuki stays behind with the injured Chota, her survival instincts kicking in as she begins to seduce him, suggesting they need to form their own alliance to make it through in one piece. Back in the apartment complex, the horse-headed hunter has already eliminated half of the participants. The remaining players, realizing they can't outrun him forever, decide to work together to take him out. They formulate a plan. Border Boy and the agile Usagi will search for the safe zone, while the others, including Karubi and a powerfully built man named Aguni, will confront the tagger directly. Arisu uses his intelligence to deduce the location of the safe room, but when he gets there, he finds it guarded by another armed man. On top of that, clearing the game requires 2 people to press 2 separate buttons simultaneously. Trapped and facing a new threat, the Game Boy shouts for help. Usagi, hearing his call, uses her incredible climbing skills to scale the outside of the building, floor by floor, reaching his location just in time. Together, they manage to subdue the second guard and press the buttons, clearing the game for everyone. At the same time, Karub and Aguni, the no-chill general, successfully take down the horse-headed tagger. But there's a shocking twist. Once the game is over, Collars around the necks of both the tagger and the other guard explode, killing them. They weren't game masters, they were players, forced into their roles just like everyone else. As Karubi processes this, he picks up a radio from a dead player who is friends with a Goonie. A voice crackles through, speaking of an answer and telling them to return to the beach. When Karubi looks up, a Goonie has vanished. The mystery of this world has just gotten much deeper. The Game of Hearts. The psychological toll of the games begins to weigh heavily on Rizzy, who feels a major sense of guilt over the death of the guard in the tag game. Usagi offers a cold comfort, telling him that in this world, they have to do whatever it takes to survive. When Arisu and Karube return to Chota and Shibuki, they tell them about the mysterious radio transmission and the beach, a potential sanctuary or source of answers about the game. However, their situation is getting serious. Chota is still unable to walk due to his burn, and his and Shibuki's visas are set to expire that very day. The four friends are left with no choice but to enter another game together, a decision that will forever change everything. They arrive at a botanical garden where they are presented with an array of weapons and a set of goggles they must wear. The phone reveals the game, a 7 of hearts. The group immediately recognizes the danger. Hearts games are the most cruel, designed to manipulate emotions and betray trust, and a difficulty of 7 is incredibly high. The game is called hide and seek, but with a devastating twist. One player is designated the wolf, while the other 3 are lambs. To win, the lambs must find the wolf and make eye contact, which transfers the wolf role. Whoever is the wolf when the timer runs out is the sole survivor. The 3 lambs will be killed by an explosive collar. It's not hide and seek, it's a hunt, where they are forced to sacrifice each other to live. The game begins, and Chota is assigned as the first wolf. The friends quickly realize the reality of their situation as the wolf role is passed between them through panicked glances, from Chota to Game Boy, and then from him to Karubi. When the role lands on Shibuki, she immediately runs, intent on hiding and surviving at any cost. Rizzy and Karubi chase her down, and in the struggle, Arisu becomes the wolf once more. He flees, desperate and horrified, trying to tear the goggles from his head, but they're locked firmly in place. The pressure of the game shatters their bond. Cruel words are exchanged, and deep-seated resentments boil to the surface, dividing the friends emotionally and physically. In the midst of the pain and betrayal, memories of their happier times together begin to surface, reminding them of the genuine friendship they once shared. Overwhelmed by guilt and love for his friends, Arisu decides he can't win this way. He wants to give up, to pass the wolf role to someone else so they can live, but now his friends are hiding from him, each one preparing to sacrifice themselves for the others. In the final heart-wrenching seconds of the game, Karub reveals himself to Rizzy but deliberately averts his gaze, refusing to take the win. The timer hits 0. Arisu, as the wolf, is the sole winner. The explosive collars detonate and he is forced to watch as Karube, Chota, and Shibuki are killed before his eyes. The border boy has survived, but at the cost of everything he held dear, and he'll never be the same again. A glimmer of hope. The loss of his friends shatters Arisu completely. He's found by Usagi, lying on a road in the pouring rain, having given up on life. He no longer wants to play, no longer wants to live in a world that took everyone from him. The narrative then gives us a deeper look into Usagi's past, showing her climbing mountains with her father, a man she deeply admired. She confides in him that the mountains are the only place she truly feels like herself, but their peaceful, quiet life is upended by a controversy involving her father, leading to his disgrace and disappearance. This shared experience of loss allows the little bunny to connect with our Game Boy. She tells him she understands the pain of losing the person most important to you, and through her quiet empathy, she convinces him not to let his friend's sacrifice be in vain. He must live on for their sake. Together, they enter a new game to extend their visas, which takes place in a long underpass. They find a bus with 3 other players already inside, a tight-knit group who claim to have cleared 4 games together as a team. The game is a 4 of spades called Distance, with the simple-sounding objective of reaching the goal. They soon discover the bus is out of fuel, forcing them to proceed on foot. One of the other players, Takuma, has a sprained ankle and heroically tells the others to go on without him. As the remaining 4 run through the dark tunnel, their trial begins. A vicious Black Panther emerges from the shadows and attacks them. It brutally kills one of the other players before the rest manage to escape. During the frantic chase, Rizzy spots a motorcycle. He realizes that since it runs on diesel, just like the bus would, its engine is likely mechanical and not disabled by whatever force knocked out the city's electronics. This sparks an idea. He tells Usagi and the remaining player, Yamane, to keep running towards the goal while he takes the motorcycle back to the start, intending to siphon fuel for the bus and save Takuma. It's a risky plan, but it's the first sign of the old, resourceful, and strategic Arisu returning. As Usagi and Yamane run ahead, they reach a dead end, a massive concrete wall. Suddenly, the wall begins to crack and a torrential flood of water bursts into the tunnel. They run for their lives, but Yamane is swallowed by the rushing water. Just as Usagi is about to be swept away, the bus appears beside her and she manages to leap inside to safety. The force of the floodwater overturns the bus and the 3 survivors, Border Boy, Usagi, and Takuma, climb onto its side. It's then that they see it. A graffiti tag on the side of the bus spells out the word goal. The bus itself was the destination all along. The game distance wasn't about how far they had to run, but about how far they were from the goal. This is why their phones displayed a distance of 0 when they were inside it at the very beginning. Having survived another deadly trial, Arizi finds a renewed sense of purpose. He tells Usagi that he's not just going to survive anymore. He's going to find the mastermind behind this sick world and uncover the truth. United by their new goal, the two of them ride off together, heading towards the only lead they have, the beach. Welcome to Utopia. The quest for the beach becomes the sole focus for the dynamic duo. They dedicate their time to finding this potential sanctuary, even splitting up to follow different groups of players returning from games. Their persistence pays off when they notice certain players wearing matching locker keys, a kind of uniform. Following this clue, they are finally led to their destination. Not a sandy shore, but a massive, luxurious hotel building overflowing with people. This is the beach. Their arrival isn't exactly welcoming. They are ambushed, knocked out, and brought before the community's leader. He's a charismatic man in a robe, known to his followers as Hatter. Arizi explains they are searching for answers about the world they're trapped in. The Hatfluencer leads them into his private suite, where an entire wall is covered with the playing cards they've been collecting from the games. He lays out the beach's philosophy. They believe that collecting a full deck of cards is the key to escaping the Borderlands and returning to the normal world. Since this task is nearly impossible for one person, he created the beach as a collective, a commune where everyone works together towards this single goal. Life at the beach is governed by 3 strict rules. Rule 1, everyone must wear a swimsuit at all times. Rule 2, all cards won in games belong to the beach. Rule 3, death to all traitors. Cooperation is not optional. The pool party CEO also dangles a rare thread of hope, suggesting that for each full set of number cards they collect, another person might be able to leave. As Game Boy and Bunny get acquainted with the community, they get introduced to its key figures and rigid power structure. To test his skills, Arizi is sent into a simple but clever game with Quina. They must figure out which of 3 switches turns on a light bulb in another room, all while the room they are in is slowly filling with water. The catch is that they can't see the light bulb while flipping the switches. Border Boy solves it with elegant logic. He flips one switch on for a few moments, then flips it off and turns a second one on. He then tells the high kick hottie to enter the room and touch the bulb. If it's on, it's the second switch. If it's off but warm, it's the first. If it's off and cold, it's the third. His success earns him a spot in the beach's executive circle. They meet the militant faction, a heavily armed group led by the intimidating gun daddy, Aguni, who seems to hold a tense rivalry with Hatter. The Hatfluencer calls a meeting with his executives, including the newly recruited Arizi. He announces that the only numbered card they are missing is the 10 of hearts. He also notes that no face cards have appeared yet, theorizing they may not be part of the game. With his own visa about to expire, Hatter declares he will personally participate in the next game to secure the final card. The episode concludes with the pool party CEO sharing a drink with Arisu, offering a cryptic piece of wisdom. Heroes, he says, are born from great sacrifice. The supposed utopia of the beach seems to be standing on a knife's edge, with dark currents of ambition and violence swirling just beneath the surface. The serpent in the garden. The idyllic facade of the beach begins to crumble as Arizi delves deeper into its inner workings. Determined to find real answers, he starts talking to other residents, trying to piece together the truth of their situation. His investigation leads him to a shocking discovery. After hearing a gunshot, he follows Hatter's men to a dumpster and finds it filled with the dead bodies of former residents, a grim testament to the beach's brutal death to all traitors rule. He's confronted by the karate girl and her friend, the Catman Shishia, who deliver a chilling warning. They reveal that it's only a matter of time before the militant faction, led by the gun daddy, makes a move to kill Hatter and seize control. Should that happen, the beach will transform from a flawed paradise into a military dictatorship run by idiots with guns. Mr. Edgelord reveals his own plan: to steal the entire collection of cards and escape the beach before it descends into chaos. And he wants the Game Boy's help to do it. The prophecy of violence comes true sooner than anyone expected. Hatter leaves to participate in a game to renew his visa, but he doesn't return victorious. Instead, his body is brought back to the beach with a bullet hole in his chest. He's been murdered. With the charismatic leader gone, the executive council descends into arguments over succession. The debate is cut short when Aguni and his militants storm the room, guns drawn, and force the executives to vote Aguni in as the new leader. During Aguni's inaugural speech as the new tyrant of the beach, Shishia puts his plan into motion. He guides Arizi to the Hatfluencer's suite, providing him with a code to the safe where the cards are kept. But it's a setup. The code is wrong, and Arisu is quickly caught by Aguni's men. The Cheshire Cat set him up perfectly. Game Boy gets restrained and left to die as his own visa is just hours from expiring. Meanwhile, Usagi is also captured and held prisoner. With Arizi taking the fall, Shishia returns to the suite, opens the safe with the real code, and steals the deck of cards. As he prepares to flee, the high-kick hottie confronts him, suggesting he should feel some guilt for betraying Arizi, but the Catman remains detached. However, his escape is a failure. The entire hotel has been sealed off by an invisible barrier, and the familiar announcement chimes through the speakers. The beach itself has become a game arena. Everyone is ordered to assemble in the main lobby. As hundreds of residents gather, their phones light up. Suddenly, a young woman named Momoka collapses in the center of the room, a knife plunged into her chest. She's dead. The game is announced. The Ten of Hearts, Witch Hunt. The objective is to find Momoka's killer, the witch, and burn them in a massive bonfire that has ignited in the courtyard. They have 2 hours. The final, most dangerous game at the beach has begun. The Witch Hunt. Chaos immediately erupts in the lobby of the beach. The terrified crowd, desperate to find a culprit, quickly turns on Momoka's closest friend, Asahi, accusing her of being the witch. They prepare to drag her to the fire of justice, but they are stopped by one of the executives, the Queen Gaslighter, Mira. She calmly suggests that everyone is a potential suspect and should account for their whereabouts. As she speaks, she reveals a bloody napkin, explaining that the blood belongs to Hatter. She extracted the bullet from his body, and it matches the guns used by the militants. The pool party CEO is also murdered, and the killer is among them. Just then, the gun daddy Aguni and his men march in. He declares that if the real witch doesn't step forward, he will burn everyone in the hotel until the game is cleared. His men fire their weapons into the air, and the panicked mob descends into a full-blown massacre. Aguni's militants begin indiscriminately killing people and throwing their bodies into the fire, hoping to stumble upon the witch by pure bloody chance. Amid the carnage, a few players try to solve the mystery. One of the executives, Anne, a former forensic scientist, begins to investigate, looking for a breakthrough clue. She's discovered by High Kick Hottie, and the two agree to work together. Their search is interrupted by one of Aguni's most dangerous enforcers, a man known as Last Boss. Quina, a master of martial arts, tells Detective Mommy to continue the search while she holds him off. This leads to a brutal one-on-one fight, during which we learn about both of their pasts. The crazy tattoo guy was a blogging nobody who saw the Borderlands as a chance to become someone powerful, while our karate girl was actually born male and was disowned by her traditional father after he discovered her transition. Quina ultimately uses her skills to defeat and kill my sleep paralysis demon in dramatic fashion. Meanwhile, A. Rizzy, still tied to a chair and left for dead, manages to tip himself over and scrape the tape off his mouth. He screams for help, his voice barely audible over the mayhem. Miraculously, Usagi just about manages to hear him. She finds and frees him, and despite being moments from his visa expiring, the Game Boy's mind immediately goes to work on the puzzle of the witch hunt. He reasons that the Game Master is a master manipulator who would have waited for the moment of maximum chaos, Aguni's takeover, to start a game like this. At the same time, Detective Mommy successfully applies a chemical to the knife and finds the killer's fingerprints, exclaiming that she knows who did it. But as she runs to announce her discovery, she is ambushed and struck down by Aguni's men. Just as all seems lost, Arisu has a breakthrough. With a look of sudden, brilliant clarity, he declares that he knows who the witch is, setting the stage for the final, dramatic confrontation. The truth burns. The final act of the witch hunt unfolds with Aguni and his militants having cornered the last remaining survivors. Just as the gun daddy orders his men to finish the slaughter, A. Rizzy walks into the standoff, demanding that it stop. He confronts the no-chill general directly, pointing out the obvious. Since Aguni had him tied up, Aguni knows that Arisu couldn't be the witch. And if Aguni isn't the witch himself, his only logical move is to work with our Game Boy to find the real one and save them all. Cornered by logic, Aguni breaks down. After giving Border Boy a savage beating, he gives a confession. He is the witch. But Arisu tells the crowd this is a lie. He knows Aguni is not the witch, but he did kill Hatter. He can see the same guilt in Aguni's eyes that he feels himself, the guilt of killing a friend. Through a series of flashbacks, the tragic truth is revealed. Aguni and the Hatfluencer were once best friends, but the power of being the pool party CEO corrupted Hatter, turning him into a monster who would execute his own followers for hiding cards. During Hatter's final game, Aguni confronted him, telling him he wanted to leave the beach because he had lost his friend to madness. According to Hatter's own rules, this made the gun daddy a traitor. As the Hatfluencer raised his weapon to execute him, Aguni fired first, killing the man his friend had become. Racked with guilt and grief, Aguni's only desire was to burn the beach and everyone in it to the ground. With the truth about Hatter's death exposed, A. Rizzy reveals his final deduction. The witch, the person who murdered Momoka, was Momoka herself. The girl stabbed herself to kick off the Ten of Hearts game. It was all a cruel trick by the Game Masters, designed to turn them against each other and play with their hearts. As this revelation sinks in, Asahi, Momoka's friend, steps forward and makes a stunning confession. She and Momoka were not players. They were dealers, individuals who helped facilitate the games in exchange for extended life. For breaking the rule of revealing her identity, a laser from the sky instantly executes her. With the truth finally out, the survivors throw Momoka's body onto the bonfire, and the game is cleared. In the aftermath, Arisu and Hiker Girl find a video on Asahi's phone. In it, she secretly documented her journey into what she believed was the Game Master's secret headquarters, an underground monitoring station. Border Boy and Usagi go to this location, but they find everyone inside has already been killed by lasers. They are soon joined by the Cheshire Cat and High Kick Hottie. They realize these people weren't the true Game Masters either. They were just another level of players in a much larger system. Suddenly, an emergency broadcast hijacks every screen in the city. It's Mira, the crazy woman from the beach. She appears congratulating the survivors for clearing all the numbered cards. But the game isn't over. She announces the beginning of the next stage, a series of new games where they will have to compete against the face cards. As Arizzi states, at least now they know who their enemy is. The season ends with the survivors looking up at the sky as massive blimps drift over the city, each one bearing the banner of a king, a queen, or a jack, signaling that the games are about to become even more deadly. They're in the big leagues now. So this has been the entire story of Alice in Borderland Season 1. It's an intense, action-packed journey, and it only gets crazier in Season 2. Also, of everyone watching, only 1% is subscribed. So you guys better get it to at least 5%, otherwise, I don't know. Just please subscribe, thank you. Season 2 of Alice in Borderland throws our heroes from the frying pan directly into the fire, where the entire city of Tokyo becomes a hunting ground for deadlier, more sadistic opponents. The new chapter opens with Arisu, Usagi, Kuina, and Chishiya gathering at the iconic Shibuya intersection, the very place where Arizzi's nightmare first began. They wait, but the familiar digital screens remain dark. No games are announced, creating an eerie silence that is soon shattered not by a digital voice, but by the roar of engines. The beach people, survivors from the previous season's chaotic community, roll in, ready for the next stage, but they are met with a storm of bullets from an unseen attacker. Panic erupts as people run wildly for cover. In this new phase, there are no rules, no designated arenas, and no time limits. There is only the hunt. As people fall around them, killed by an expert marksman with an assault rifle, Arisu recognizes the terrifying truth. This isn't a game they can choose to enter. They are already in it. He urges his friends to split up, to increase their chances of survival on the sudden battlefield. Hiding behind cars, they catch a glimpse of a massive airship floating overhead, bearing the emblem of the King of Spades. Our little Game Boy puts it together. The shooter is the king himself, a single, relentless force of destruction, and the entire city is his arena for the game. A masked figure in a black coat appears on the streets below, gunning down anyone in his path, the physical embodiment of the king's wrath. Arisu and the hiker girl, Usagi, try to save an injured boy, but it's too late. Pinned down and with nowhere to run, the group faces certain death. But just as the King of Spades closes in, a car screeches to a halt beside them. It's the wrench guy, who yells for them to get in. In a heart-stopping moment of sacrifice, Catman spots a grenade thrown by the king. He tells his friends to go on without him, ensuring their escape at the cost of his own as he ducks for cover. As Tada speeds them away, Kuina is distraught over leaving Chishiya. But Arizzi assures her that Mr. Edgelord is resourceful and can take care of himself. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Queen Gaslight Mira watches the massacre unfold, a sickening smile on her face, relishing the chaos she helped unleash. The Hitman Barbie is relentless in his mission to kill all of the players. After wiping out most of the gamers at the starting area, he commandeers another vehicle after killing its squad and gives chase to Arizzi's gang, his bullets riddling the group's car. Tata, who had been driving, is too slow, so Detective Mommy takes the wheel, driving recklessly until she crashes, though thankfully, no one is seriously injured. The group scatters into a nearby building as the King of Spades appears, spraying down players around the crash site, and in the chaos, Anne gets separated from the others. That evening, the remaining four regroup. Arisu and Usagi venture out for supplies, while Tata and the high-kick hottie search for a new vehicle. At a deserted luxury car showroom, the Titanic finds a moment of joy, marveling that he can take any car he wants, but this sense of freedom is hollow. He confesses to Kuina that he still desperately wants to return to the real world and his family. In a grocery store, as Arisu gathers food, he's overcome with emotion, remembering his lost friends, Karub and Chota, and the fun times they used to have together. It is here that Usagi makes a startling confession. Seeing a magazine with her late father on the cover, she tells Arizzi she doesn't want to go back to the human world, a place filled with painful memories. She wants to stay here. Hearing her pain, Arisu makes a sincere promise to protect her, to be by her side no matter what comes next. After the duo leave the store, they're picked up by Tata and Kuina, and they rest somewhere to pass the night. When the morning hits, they realize that hiding won't work forever. The King of Spades will eventually find them, and then they'll be completely defenseless. The Game Boy devises a daring new strategy to win. They must go on the offensive. They need to beat the Game Masters at their own game by actively seeking out and winning the remaining face cards to gain information and, hopefully, a way out. They decide to target the King of Clubs, knowing that Clubs games are based on teamwork, their greatest strength. They follow the King of Clubs airship to a massive container port. There they find a table with 5 bracelets, the entry requirement for the game. Before they can decide what to do, Naragi, the psychopath, emerges from the shadows. He's horribly burned but alive, a testament to his sheer, twisted resilience, and he has already claimed one of the bracelets. With little choice, Arisu, Usagi, Kuina, and Tada put on the remaining bracelets, and a gate opens, leading them into the game arena. They are met by a group of people led by a man who introduces himself as Kuma, the king of clubs. He explains that he and his team are citizens of this world, not players, and that for them, nudism is a philosophy of freedom from worldly constructs. This is a brand new kind of challenge. They are not just playing against a game system, but against people who have made this twisted reality their home. Kuma lays out the stakes with chilling simplicity. The losing team's members will all be killed. The game is called Osmosis. It's a 2-hour battle for points. Each team starts with 10,000 points, which they must distribute amongst their 5 members before the game begins. There are 3 ways to gain points: engaging in battle by touching an opponent with a higher point value, finding hidden items scattered throughout the container yard, or touching the opponent's base pole, which grants a massive 10,000 points, but at a cost. The catch with the base is that touching it results in the player being instantly executed by a laser, losing their own team 10,000 points in the process. It's a high-risk, high-reward gambit designed for sacrifice. Arisu, falling back into his role as the strategist, devises a plan for point allocation. He gives Tada the fewest points and assigns him to guard their base, while splitting the rest of the team to hunt for points. Initially, the plan works. Usagi and Naragi score points in battle, and Arisu himself manages to outsmart one of Kuma's teammates, gaining 2,000 points. However, Kuma's team made a crucial error. They distributed their points evenly among all their members, making them predictable. Realizing they are behind, Kuma and his second-in-command, Shitara, change tactics. They decide to target Arizu's base, guarded by the low-pointed Titanic. They launch a full-scale assault. 3 of Kuma's team members manage to touch Arisu's base pole. Shitara is touched by Tada, who is touching the pole, causing Shitara to lose all his points and be killed by lasers. His sacrifice transfers a massive number of points to their team, putting the King's team ahead by 4,000. The tables have turned dramatically. Border Boy's team is now on the defensive, forced to split up and frantically search for items to close the gap and score. Kuma's team hunts them down, picking them off one by one, increasing their lead by tons of points. When Arisu finally finds an item, one of Kuma's players, Yuta, snatches it before him, pushing their lead to a seemingly insurmountable 12,000 points. With only 30 minutes left, Kuma tells Arisu that this is a team game, a lesson Arizu seems to have forgotten in his desperation. Hope seems lost. The team is demoralized, but Arisu formulates one last desperate plan. They must attack Kuma's base. If just 2 of them can touch the pole, they will gain 20,000 points and win. It's a suicide mission, risking their lives, but it's their only shot. They create a diversion, with Arizu, Quina, and Naragi making a mad dash for the enemy base. The hiker girl manages to distract one of the defenders, while Arisu uses a tool to incapacitate Kuma. Naragi sees his chance and touches the base, but it's not enough. In the ensuing chaos, Quina is pushed away from the pole and Kuma's team scores another 500 points. They are still losing, and time is running out. As despair sets in, Usagi refuses to give up and finds one last item, gaining another 2,500 points. But it's still not enough. Naragi, bleeding out and seeing defeat as inevitable, snaps. In a shocking act of betrayal, he turns on his own teammate, attacking Usagi and slamming her head against the ground until she falls unconscious. The team is broken, beaten, and turning on itself. The game seems utterly lost. A sacrifice and a liar's game. With his team in shambles and only minutes left on the clock, Tada is consumed by a flashback of his life in the real world. Our beloved wrench guy was a mechanic, a man full of optimism who was often mistaken for foolishness. He dreamed of a better life, but was stuck in his job, trying to earn enough money for an education. One day, a terrible accident occurred. Tada failed to properly set a car jack, causing a vehicle to fall and crush his superior's hand, ending his career. The guilt from that day has haunted the Titanic ever since. Back in the present, seeing his friends on the verge of death, Tada decides he cannot let history repeat itself. He will not be useless again. As Naragi tries to assault an unconscious Usagi, Arisu rushes in to save her, pummeling the creep as the clock ticks down to its final 9 minutes. He then carries the little bunny back to their base, where she apologizes for being unable to help. With the game and their lives slowly slipping away, Border Boy walks to the edge of the sea, where he finds Kuma waiting. The 2 leaders have a heart-to-heart, and Arisu thanks Kuma for his earlier advice. He asks to shake his hand one last time. Kuma initially refuses, warning Arizu that physical contact could transfer points, but then he relents and shakes Arisu's hand. Instantly, the scoreboard flashes with a stunning update. Kuma's personal points have been transferred to Arisu. The Gaming Pros team is suddenly in the lead by 500 points, shocking everyone. A stunned Kuma praises Arisu's cleverness and asks how he did it. The scene flashes back a few minutes earlier. Arisu had found Tada frantically smashing his own hand against a shipping container. The Titanic explained his plan. He would ruin his own hand to remove the bracelet. He pointed out that the rules never specified a penalty for taking off the device, only for losing. Since Tada had never left their base, his points hadn't been stolen by the enemy, and his bracelet was still active. He managed to tear the bracelet from his bloody wrist and give it to Arisu, transferring his entire 10,000 points value to his friend. This was his redemption. He thanked Arisu for always seeing the good in him, for recognizing his earnestness when others just saw a fool. This selfless act, combined with the handshake, was the key to victory. The King's team, to their credit, accepts defeat with grace. placing no blame on Kuma for the loss. As they await the inevitable, Arisu tells Kuma that in another life, they would have been great friends. Kuma accepts his fate with pride, and as the game ends, lasers rain down from the sky, executing him and every member of his team. The victory is a hollow one. Arisu rushes back to the Titanic, but it's too late for him to be saved. He's lost far too much blood. He dies in Arisu's arms, having made the ultimate sacrifice for his friends. Arisu buries him by the ocean, and he and Kuina, along with a newly humbled Naragi, swear to win the remaining games in his honor, never forgetting his sacrifice. The story then shifts focus to Chishiya, who finds himself in a new, insidious game at Teo Prison. The game is solitary confinement, the domain of the Jack of Hearts. The players are all fitted with explosive collars. Each round, a symbol from a deck of cards appears on the back of their collar, and they have to correctly guess what it is. The twist is that they cannot see their own symbol. They must rely on another player to tell them the truth. If they guess wrong, the collar explodes. To win, they must identify the Jack of Hearts, who is hiding among them, a master of deception whose goal is to manipulate everyone into killing each other. The game quickly descends into a paranoid nightmare. Alliances form and just as quickly shatter as players betray one another for their own survival. Chishiya's first partner, unable to handle the stress, simply gives up and allows his collar to explode. Now alone, the Cheshire Cat must rely on his wits and intuition alone. He attempts to team up with another player, Matsushita, but quickly realizes the man is in league with a suspected serial killer named Sonato. The Catman tries to warn Matsushita that Sonato will eventually betray him, and even tells Matsushita his own symbol truthfully as a sign of goodwill. Matsushita lies to him in return and walks away. Chishiya, a master of observation, survives solely by his gut feeling. He notices Matsushita communicating silently with another player, Kotoko, in the cafeteria. They aren't speaking, but they are passing information through the different flavors of cookies they choose. The Cheshire Cat realizes this is how they've been surviving and that Matsushita must be the Jack of Hearts. He accuses him publicly, but Matsushita denies it. Unconvinced, the remaining players capture Matsushita and lock him in a cell, ending the game. As Chishiya walks away victorious, while the other players beat Matsushita, the Jack of Hearts blimp burns in the sky behind him. In the aftermath of these brutal games, a survivor has been creating a documentary, interviewing others left in this world. His footage reveals a grim reality. For some criminals and outcasts, this lawless world is a paradise, a place of ultimate freedom. The games have broken people, but for others, they have provided a twisted sense of purpose. Back with Arisu's group, the grief over Tada's death is still raw. Arisu gets lost in memories of his old friends, Karub and Chota, the ones who always motivated him to keep fighting even when he was at his lowest point. He and Hiker Girl are starving. While trying and failing to hunt a rabbit, they hear a loud noise and follow it to a road littered with dead bodies, the latest victims of the King of Spades. Among the dead is the documentary filmmaker. Inside the filmmaker's van, Arisu and Usagi find his recordings, a treasure trove of information about this world, the hunt and the hunted. The recordings left behind offer Arisu and Usagi a fragmented glimpse into the lives of other survivors. They see Detective Mami, meticulously studying plant growth and water levels, trying to scientifically deduce the nature of their newfound prison and find a way out of Tokyo. Another tape reveals a shocking interview with a woman who claims to remember the exact moment they were all transported to this world. Following a brain surgery, her memory of the event is crystal clear, and she insists that the beings she saw orchestrating the transition were not human. But before she can reveal more, the King of Spades appears and slaughters everyone in the neighborhood, cutting off the vital flow of information. Just as the documentary ends, the real world intrudes. The distinct sound of the King of Spades airship is heard outside. Realizing he is close, Arisu and Usagi flee the van, but Hitman Barbie spots them immediately and gives chase. In the frantic escape, the two are separated. Before Arisu can even process what is happening, he's knocked unconscious. He awakens later that night to find a woman watching over him. She reveals that her comrade rescued him, and to Border Boy's shock, she knows his name. When he asks how, she points to the man who saved him. Arisu turns, and his blood runs cold. It's Gundaddy Aguni. The man who supposedly sacrificed himself in the fire at the beach is alive. Aguni is a changed man now. He tells Arisu he has no will to live for himself anymore. His only purpose is to kill the game masters and put an end to the suffering. He has partnered with the woman who is watching Arisu, a high schooler named Akane. Her backstory is just as tragic as everyone else's. She was a popular girl who found herself in a game called Boiling Death, set in a football stadium that began to collapse and fill with boiling water. She survived but was impaled by a steel rod. Crawling to a derelict hospital, she begged a doctor for help. The doctor agreed to amputate her infected leg, but only on the condition that she sleep with him. Desperate to live, Akane agreed and got her leg removed. This brutal world has forged her into a hardened survivor, much like Aguni. Aguni reveals their plan. They intend to lure the King of Spades into the nearby mountains and ambush him. He believes the game masters are using tracking devices, so they must use the terrain to their advantage. Arisu wants to find Usagi, but Gundaddy insists they stay together as the king is drawn to active players. That night, as Arisu stands guard, he dozes off. He wakes to the King of Spades pointing a gun directly at his head. Before the king can fire, Akane throws a smoke bomb, creating a diversion. Aguni opens fire, but the king is wearing a bulletproof vest and is unfazed. Arisu tries to distract him, but a grenade forces him to dive into a river to save his own life, washing him far away. The plan has failed. Meanwhile, other survivors are fighting their own battles. Usagi, searching for food, finds a young boy whose parents have died and whose visa is about to expire. She convinces the reluctant child to join a game to save his life. To her astonishment, Arisu, having been washed ashore, arrives to play the very same game. Their joyful reunion is cut short by the game announcement, Checkmate, the game of the Queen of Spades. It's a team game. A challenger team of 16 players, including Border Boy, Usagi, and the little kid, must face off against the Queen's team of 4. Each player has a button on their back. If pressed by an opponent, they switch teams. The team with the most members at the end wins. The Queen's team is ruthlessly efficient, quickly converting challenger members to their side. Soon, only Arisu, Usagi, and the boy remain on the challenger team. The Queen takes a special interest in Arisu and orders her team to capture him. As they corner him, Hiker Girl comes to his rescue. The Queen, furious, is determined to eliminate Usagi. With time running out, Usagi makes a powerful appeal to the players who have been switched to the Queen's team. She reminds them that serving the Queen might guarantee their safety for now, but it means giving up any hope of ever returning to the real world. Her words strike a chord with the other team, and players begin to switch back to the challenger side. In the final chaotic seconds, Gay Boy makes a daring leap, and when the clock hits 0, he and Usagi have successfully turned the tables, winning the game and defeating the Queen of Spades. In another part of the city, Chishiya enters his next game, the King of Diamonds. The game held in the Supreme Court is called Beauty Contest. It's a game of logic and human psychology. In each round, 5 players must choose a number between 0 and 100. The average of all chosen numbers is then multiplied by 0.8. The player whose chosen number is closest to that final result wins the round. Everyone else loses a point. Reaching -10 points means elimination by a vat of sulfuric acid poured from above. The game is a brutal exercise in game theory, forcing players to guess not just the logical answer, but what they think the other irrational, panicked players will choose. The game whittles the players down until only Chishiya and the King of Diamonds himself, Kuzuryu, remain. Kuzuryu, a former lawyer, presents Chishiya with a moral quandary, testing his values, but it is the Cheshire Cat who turns the game on its head. In a penultimate round, he calmly announces to Kuzuryu that he will choose the number 100, effectively handing the win to Kuzuryu if he chooses strategically. Fascinated by Chishiya's apathy and unique worldview, Kuzuryu is shaken. In the final round, with both men on the verge of elimination, Chishiya again declares he will choose 100. The choice to live or die now rests entirely with Kuzuryu. At this critical moment, Kuzuryu remembers a conversation he had with Momoka, the girl who became the witch at the beach. He had asked her why she chose a role that guaranteed her death. She explained that she did it to follow her own ideals, rather than letting a game master decide her fate. Her words about the value of a human heart resonate with Kuzuryu, who realizes he has never truly understood the value of life. In a stunning move, he chooses the number 0, deliberately losing the game to spare the Catman. He tells a shocked Chishiya that for the first time, he is following his own ideals and can now exit this world without guilt. A bucket of acid falls, and Kuzuryu is eliminated, making Chishiya the winner. The final countdown. With the number of face cards dwindling, the remaining survivors begin to converge. Only 2 cards are left in play, the King of Spades and the Queen of Hearts. Detective Mami and High Kick Hottie, having teamed up, successfully cleared several games together. Their bond strengthened through shared trauma and a fierce will to live. In the devastated city streets, Arisu stumbles upon a welcome sight, Chishiya, alive and well. The two are overjoyed to see each other, but their reunion is cut short by the arrival of Naragi, armed and unhinged. He opens fire, injuring the Cheshire Cat, his mind twisted by a cruel desire to take everyone down with him. As Arisu and Chishiya take cover, Usagi arrives, pleading with Naragi to stop, but the psychopath simply turns his gun on her. In a final act of unexpected redemption, Chishiya throws himself in front of the Hicker Girl, taking the hits meant for her. As the Catman falls, Arisu shoots and wounds Naragi, finally putting a stop to his rampage. Just then, the King of Spades airship appears overhead. The final battle is at hand. As the king begins his indiscriminate slaughter, Arisu and Usagi spot Kuina and Anne hiding behind a vehicle, reuniting the core group. They are no longer running. Together, they decide to make their stand and kill the king. As if on cue, Gundaddy and Akane also arrive, guns blazing, joining the fight. The entire team is back together, ready for one last desperate gambit. Their plan is to lure the King of Spades into a nearby drugstore they've rigged with gas cans, creating a massive explosion that will hopefully be enough to kill him. The fight is brutal and bloody. The king is a force of nature, seemingly unstoppable. He shoots and injures multiple members of the group. In a heroic sacrifice, Akane shields Aguni with her own body, taking multiple bullets to the chest. The king then shoots Mami and stabs both Kuina and Usagi as they try to intervene. Enraged, Aguni confronts the king but is shot almost point blank. With everyone else down, the king pursues Arisu, who retreats into the rigged drugstore. But the king is too smart to follow him in. In a stunning display of sheer willpower, a heavily wounded Aguni gets back to his feet, having narrowly avoided death, tackles the king, and shoves him through the drugstore doors. He screams at a hesitating Arisu to detonate the bomb, even though he is inside with their target. Arisu throws the explosive. The drugstore erupts in a massive fireball after Aguni and Border Boy jump out the window, shooting the can. Miraculously, both Arisu and Gun Daddy survive the blast. The King of Spades lies dying in the rubble. He hands his gun to Aguni, asking to be finished off. Aguni complies, ending the reign of Hitman Barbie once and for all. As the no-chill general then turns the gun on himself, he is stopped by a vision of his old friend Hatter, who convinces him to live. The battle is won, but the cost is immense. Quina holds a dying Anne, and the two friends make a final vow to find each other again in the real world. With the King of Spades defeated, only one game remains. Arisu and an injured Usagi walk toward the final arena, the domain of the Queen of Hearts, still clinging to the belief that winning this last game will send them home. When they arrive, they discover the queen is exactly who they feared it would be, Mira. Mira welcomes them to the final game, Queen of Croquet. The rules are deceptively simple. They don't have to win, they just have to play 3 rounds of croquet with her. But the real game is not played with mallets and balls. It's played in the mind. As Hiker Girl slowly bleeds from her leg, Rizzy wants to hurry the game, but Queen Gaslight delays it, one move at a time. After the second round, Mira offers them tea and begins her psychological assault. She starts by telling them they are not in the past but thousands of years in the future, participating in an advanced virtual reality game while their physical bodies are safe. Arisu is completely baffled. Mira laughs and says she was lying. Then she presents a new reality. They are subjects in an experiment, their memories wiped and replaced. Game Boy's patience breaks and he demands the truth. Again, Mira changes her story. This is her true game. The Queen of Hearts doesn't need to win at croquet. She needs to make Arisu give up. If he quits, the game can never be finished, and they will be trapped here forever. She delivers her most devastating blow. She tells Arisu that none of this is real. It is all a hallucination, a psychological break he experienced after the death of his friends, Karube and Chota. The scene shifts and Rizzy finds himself in a psychiatrist's office. Mira is his doctor. She tells him that this entire world is a mental prison he built out of guilt for being unable to save his friends. She offers him medication, a way to quit the game and accept this new reality. Arisu is on the verge of breaking. He is ready to accept that it's all a lie, to take the pills and give up. But then Usagi butts in. She tells him it is real. The pain is real. The bleeding from her leg is real. To prove it, to snap him out of Mira's spell, she takes a piece of broken glass and slices her own wrist. The shock of this act of self-sacrifice, this proof of shared reality, brings Border Boy back from the edge. He looks at his beloved hiker chick and chooses to live, to continue fighting with her. As soon as he declares his intention to finish the game, the illusion shatters, and they are back on the rooftop playing croquet. Mira, having played her final card and lost, calmly finishes the last round of croquet. With the game complete, a laser descends from the sky and executes her as fireworks light up the sky, signaling the end of all the games. A voice announces that the players have a choice: become permanent residents of this world, or reject the offer. Rizzy and Usagi choose to return. All the other survivors, Chishiya, Aguni, Akane, and Naragi, make the same choice. The world dissolves. Suddenly, Arisu is back in the real world, walking with Karubi and Chota just moments before the events of the first season. But then a massive meteor strikes Tokyo, engulfing the city in a flash of light and destruction. Arisu opens his eyes. He is in a hospital bed, his brother by his side. His brother tells him that a meteor hit the city and that Game Boy's heart stopped for 1 full minute. For him, that minute was an eternity. All the other survivors are in the same hospital. They all suffered cardiac arrest at the moment of impact. They don't remember the Borderlands, but a faint subconscious connection remains. Quina reunites with her parents. Akane sees Aguni and seems to recognize him. Later, Arisu and Usagi meet by a vending machine. They are strangers, yet they feel an undeniable pull toward each other, a shared experience buried deep beneath their conscious minds. They decide to take a walk together, two souls seemingly magically drawn to one another. As they leave, the camera pans to a table where a deck of playing cards sits. The wind blows them away, all except for one, the Joker. The game may be over, but the story is not quite finished. So this has been the entire story of Alice in Borderland Season 2. It's a crazy and deep journey, but what do you think about it? Was it incredible storytelling or way too confusing? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Alice content and theories, click the video on screen now.